Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Balwinder finally exposed Malishka to everyone and tells everyone that it was Malishka that told him about Lakshmi's pregnancy, and also Malishka gave him money. So let's continue from there. After Balwinder tells everyone the truth about Malishka, Lakshmi asks Malishka to say that the fingers which was raised on her was on you today. Virendra says, "My daughter Lakshmi said right," and says to Malishka that you have stooped low. "I regret to believe you, and I thought that my daughter Lakshmi was wrong." Virendra says to Lakshmi that I couldn't become your father, and he apologized to Lakshmi. Lakshmi cries and hugs him, calling him father. Virendra says to Lakshmi that now, no injustice would happen with you. He says, "I had brought Lakshmi here for Rishi. Lakshmi is right for Rishi." Neelam says to Virendra that, "What are you saying?" Virendra says, "I told you that nobody should talk." He tells Rishi that if Malishka has done this, you are also responsible for this. Malishka cries and says, "I am not a culprit." She falls down on Neelam's feet and says she has not done this. Rishi says, "Don't do this drama. You are falling much down than this." Neelam asks Malishka to leave from the house and says, "I am not saying anything as you are a girl, and I would have punished you if someone else was in your place." She asks Malishka to take this death with her. Kiran says, Neelam asks Ayush to call the police. Balwinder runs away and it turns out to be Malishka's imagination. Now back to reality. Balwinder says to everyone that Malishka had told me that Lakshmi is pregnant and says, "I have proof." He tried to bring out his phone as proof, but his phone is missing. He says, "I had proof in my phone." Malishka says Balwinder is lying. Don't listen to him. Rishi says Balwinder is saying something, and Balwinder swears that he is not lying. Kiran says to everyone that I will prove it and says my daughter is not guilty. She wanted to be the daughter-in-law of the house, and she asks if she would do such a thing that he will push her out and that Rishi would also hate her. She says this guy is lying. Balwinder tells Rishi that he is saying the truth. Rishi slaps Balwinder and says you wanted to run away and Malishka did not let you escape, and that is why you are taking Malishka's name to go away from here. Rishi says to Balwinder that you would have run away from here, but Malishka caught you, so how can you accuse Malishka? Malishka says I have won, and I am not afraid now. Balwinder says Malishka is a big cheat. She had told me everything about Lakshmi. Rishi says close your mouth. If you utter a word against Malishka, then I will not leave you. Kiran and Malishka get happy. Malishka says the sword has moved away from my head. Grandma gets up scared in her room and she calls Rishi and Lakshmi. She switches on the light and asks that whose voice is this. She thinks that thank God, no guy was here. She finds the water bottle missing from her room and she shouted. Balwinder says Malishka has done black magic on you all, and that is why you couldn't see or hear her truth. Balwinder says to everyone that when I came here with the door dancers, Malishka had given me money and says I am not doing any work. Then how am I running my house? I was able to get money because Malishka gave me money. Malishka says, didn't you hear what Rishi said? That I cannot do this. Lakshmi says, no Malishka, you can do this and I know what the truth is. Balwinder says to Lakshmi that I love you and Malishka had taken advantage of it. Rishi slaps Balwinder and asks him not to take Lakshmi's name from his mouth and says Lakshmi is my wife. Balwinder asks that until when? Only for 2 months, because after 2 months, you and Lakshmi will divorce and we will talk after 2 months. Virendra tells Balwinder that Lakshmi is like his daughter and she calls me as Bauji, and Bauji means father. He says, remember this, I will not hear any wrong word against Lakshmi, else I will make your condition to worse that you will not forget. Balwinder says you call Lakshmi as your daughter, but you insult her daily. Balwinder asks them to decide if they hate Lakshmi or love her. Balwinder tells Lakshmi that he is getting beaten by them because of Lakshmi since morning. Virendra slaps Balwinder and asks him not to take Lakshmi's name. Grandma comes there and stops Virendra. Balwinder thanks Grandma. Grandma slaps Balwinder and warns him not to take Lakshmi's name. She tells Karishma and Neelam that something was in her room. She tells them that the water bottle was missing from her table and it was in some other place. She says there is ghost in my room. Ayush screams and hides behind Virendra. Neelam and Karishma ask that what is Grandma saying. As they were busy talking to Grandma, Balwinder frees himself. Grandma says there is something in my room. Rishi says Grandma is right. Lakshmi asks that why is Rishi scaring Grandma. Rishi says Balwinder's goon's friends must have taken the water bottle from Grandma's room. Balwinder tries to run away, but Grandma hits the steel bottle on his head. Balwinder falls down. Rishi checks his pulse. Grandma asks, "Did I kill him?" Lakshmi checks Balwinder and says he is unconscious. He is not dead. Virendra says we should not keep Balwinder here and we should keep him in some room. Rishi says I will keep him in my room and I will keep an eye on him. Grandma says I did not know that I have power in myself. Neelam asks Ayush to sleep in Grandma's room. Ayush says I will sleep with Grandma and Grandma asks him to sleep on the sofa. Virendra asks Rishi to close the door and the windows and says even I want to hear the truth. Rishi and Ayush takes Balwinder to Rishi's room and they tie his hands and legs. Grandma comes there and says she is a superwoman and says she can handle Balwinder alone. She asks, "Did you see my target?" Ayush says you were scared of ghosts earlier. Grandma shouted, seeing Malishka. Malishka asks if Grandma was talking about her, that she is a ghost. Grandma says we were talking about ghosts and not you. Lakshmi asks Malishka that what are you doing here, as Balwinder took your name. Malishka says Rishi trusts me and he broke Balwinder's mouth and says your thought doesn't matter. Rishi says Lakshmi's thought matters. Balwinder did wrong with Lakshmi and it matters to me. Malishka says to Rishi that Lakshmi said what she feels and says we don't like each other, but there is no truth in whatever Balwinder is saying. Rishi asks for the proofs and says I will not trust anyone until I see the proofs. He says I cannot trust you until I see the proof. Malishka asks, didn't you scold Balwinder and said that you will break his mouth? Rishi says I said that, but that time, Lakshmi haven't talked about your involvement with Balwinder. Malishka asks Rishi that will you doubt me on Lakshmi's sayings as she feels that I gave Balwinder money and I told him about her pregnancy. Grandma asks Rishi and Lakshmi to keep an eye on Balwinder and she asks Ayush and Malishka to come. Malishka says I will be here. Grandma and Ayush says you cannot stay here, so come with me. Malishka fears what Balwinder will say after gaining consciousness and she thinks that what if Rishi and Lakshmi get closer? Lakshmi says this is my bedroom and I don't want anyone to stay here. She asks Malishka to go and sleep in the guest room. She says then I will say what you want to hear. She says Rishi and I will stay as we used to stay since our marriage. Lakshmi tells Malishka that she and Rishi are staying in the house since their marriage and they will stay like that and nothing new would happen. Grandma comes there with Ayush and asks Malishka if she did not understand what she said and Grandma takes Malishka with her away from the room. Rishi asks Lakshmi that what were you telling Malishka? Lakshmi says she was not going from there as if this is her bedroom and you are her husband, but you are my husband, and Lakshmi goes from there. Rishi says to himself that Lakshmi said right, I am your husband. He says I will make Balwinder say the truth. Grandma and Ayush brings Malishka to Sonia's room. Grandma asks Kiran to let Malishka stay there. Ayush says Malishka is thrown out of Lakshmi's room and Grandma asks them to sleep in the guest room. Ayush says to Grandma that Malishka also stays in Sonia's room. Grandma says Sonia is sleeping well. Ayush says whoever has a clean heart sleeps well. Grandma says whoever doesn't have a heart, they sleep well as well. She asks Kiran not to let Malishka come out and she goes. Malishka tells Kiran that Rishi trusts Lakshmi and says I hate Lakshmi. Rishi asks Lakshmi if she is good and why can't she be normal, and he asks that why did she lower Malishka with her words. Lakshmi says if you think this way, then think of what you will become. She is about to sleep, but Rishi holds her. She says I will not say thank you. Rishi also says I will also not say welcome. Lakshmi says I will not thank you as Malishka forces me to do this. Rishi asks Lakshmi that if you want to take revenge from Malishka, then what difference is left between you both? Lakshmi says Malishka would have been in jail by now. She has done so much bad and I would have kept you tied away from her. Rishi says you haven't tied me, but you did everything else. Rishi says to Lakshmi that you have shown right on me in front of Malishka. Lakshmi says she will show her right because Rishi is just as. She asks Rishi to take a breath and says I just said it. Rishi says he is tired. Lakshmi says let's end this here. She falls again. Rishi holds her. Lakshmi tries to go. Rishi holds her closer and take out her dupatta from his watch. He signals to her that it is done. Lakshmi also nods her head. Rishi touches Lakshmi's nose and Lakshmi smiles. Malishka tells Kiran that Rishi is doubting on her because of Lakshmi, because Lakshmi feels that I had given money to Balwinder truly. Kiran asks Malishka to talk in low tone, seeing Sonia sleeping there. Malishka says Virendra uncle had beaten Balwinder for Lakshmi and says all the family members are going back to Lakshmi. She says, I don't know what kind of destiny Lakshmi has. She says, I brought Balwinder here, but the good person in Rishi woke up and he stopped Balwinder. Sonia wakes up and hears Malishka saying that she truly gave Balwinder money. She asks Malishka that what has she done. Malishka asks Sonia not to take Lakshmi's side. Sonia says whatever you have done is wrong. Kiran asks Sonia not to tell anyone about this and says this should be kept between us. They notice someone outside the room and they panic. Rishi calls Lakshmi. Lakshmi asks him to talk. Rishi asks that how can you think about marrying Balwinder like a guy, and he asks her not to feel bad. Lakshmi says, why will I feel bad? She says, my father had taken a sworn from me that I would get married, and it was his last wish to get me married. She says, then I came to Mumbai. Rishi says to Lakshmi that I am asking you that why did you agree to marry Balwinder then? Lakshmi says Balwinder's alliance came first and I thought about my father's last wish. She says my aunt and my uncle said that. Rishi interrupts and says you will not say anything in front of everyone. Rishi says to Lakshmi that whatever God does is for good and says I was going to France that day and I returned because the flight was cancelled. He says then I came to the hotel and I came to know about Balwinder's wedding. Then the fire broke up and you came and saved me. Lakshmi says she had come back there to search for her mother's necklace and she saw Rishi there. Rishi says to Lakshmi that you would have taken the necklace that day and leave. Lakshmi says I can get back the necklace but I cannot get back your life. She says she got so many memories of she and Rishi. A song plays in the background. Lakshmi gets teary eyes. Rishi wipes her tears with his sleeve and then with his fingers. Lakshmi smiles. Rishi gives Lakshmi a dupatta. Lakshmi wipes her tears. Rishi says, I said so much and I made you cry, and says, I will go and sit in a corner so that you don't cry. Lakshmi nods her head. Rishi says, you are nodding and stopping me from going to the corner, and he asks if Lakshmi wants this. Lakshmi says no. Rishi says, finger is on my lips, and he asks her to smile. Lakshmi says, if I smile, then you ask me not to smile. Rishi says, how will I talk when there is finger on my lips? Lakshmi smiles and Rishi also smiles. Rishi and Lakshmi hear some noise coming from outside. Rishi says I will check and he comes out of his room. Lakshmi also comes out and says nobody is here. Rishi says there was someone surely. Lakshmi says maybe Ayush was here. Rishi goes back inside. Lakshmi closes the door and goes inside. Gudu and the other goon are hiding there and they came to save Balwinder. Ayush tells Grandma that he is going to sleep. Grandma says I will not sleep alone. Ayush says you have many friends with you. Grandma says you have forced me to do this and she ties Ayush's hand with her hand. Shalu calls Ayush. Ayush says let me talk. Grandma says I haven't tied your mouth. Ayush says my hands are tied. Grandma picks the call and put it on loudspeaker. Ayush says Shalu, you are calling me. Shalu says yes and she asks Ayush about everything there. Shalu asks Ayush that how is everything there and she asks him that how are you. Ayush asks that why are you taking stress? I am here. Shalu says I am very stressed, that is why. Ayush asks that why did you go then? Shalu asks if Grandma is there. Grandma says yes and says it seems that you guys are having conversation like uncle and auntie, and she asks Shalu to talk romantically and flirt with Ayush if she wants to. Ayush asks Grandma that what is she saying, and he tells Shalu that he will talk to her later, and Bani asks Shalu to let her sleep. Malishka thinks that Balwinder's chapter should end soon, and she thinks that Lakshmi might be sleeping with Rishi. Gudu and his other friend comes there and take Balwinder out of the room, while Rishi and Lakshmi are sleeping sitting on the couch. Okay guys, so some people had misunderstanding in my last video, but I hope this video is able to clear your misunderstanding. It is true that Balwinder exposed Malishka. The only imagination that Malishka had was how Karishma, Neelam, Sonia, everyone were blaming Malishka. But after she came out of that imagination, it shows that Balwinder exposed her, but nobody believes Balwinder until it brings out proof. But Balwinder doesn't have proof. So I hope this video is able to clear your misunderstanding. If there's still anything you don't understand, let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.